The film starts with a dilapidated traveling theater making its way through London. The theater is run by Dr. Parnassus, a wise man capable of turning anyone's deepest desires into reality through the power of imagination. His troupe consists of his daughter Valentina, his assistant Percy, and the showman Anton. They set up near a local pub, and Anton begins the performance by introducing Parnassus and their main attraction, a magical mirror portal to a dream world called the Imaginarium, powered by Parnassus's incredible mind. As the troupe performs, a group of drunk club-goers disrupts the show. One drunkenly shoves Anton and Percy and taunts Valentina, who seeks refuge in the Imaginarium. The drunk follows, entering a forest. Valentina defends herself, striking him before exiting. The Imaginarium then transforms to reflect his craving for endless alcohol, and a bizarre creature drops him onto a giant thumbtack. Parnassus's voice urges him to climb a mountain for true fulfillment, but the drunk, Nick, the devil, tempts him with immediate pleasure at a club. Predictably, the drunkard chooses the club, seeking instant gratification. Upon entering, the building explodes, signifying Nick's victory and Parnassus's loss of another soul. Back in reality, Parnassus shuts the portal just as the police arrive to address the disturbance caused by the clubbers, who accuse Valentina of abducting their friend. An officer investigates but finds no trace of the drunkard on the small stage. Later, the troupe performs at a fair where a curious child slips into the mirror. This time, Anton steps into the Imaginarium to retrieve the child before the parents realize their kid is missing. As Anton steps inside, he's taken aback by the sight of Parnassus's mind, bringing the child's dream world to life, transforming everything into a gigantic, colorful game. Parnassus appears as a hot air balloon, attempting to disperse the kid, but the child shoots him down to silence him. Returning to the stage, Anton wakes Parnassus so the child can come back and be reunited with his anxious parents. The show concludes, and the troupe settles in for the night. Backstage, Valentina secretly flips through a family magazine, longing for a normal life and family. Meanwhile, Percy overhears a conversation between Nick and Parnassus about an old wager involving Valentina. After Nick departs, Percy urges Parnassus to reveal the truth to Valentina before it's too late. The troupe then leaves the fair and heads to a secluded location. During the journey, Anton and Valentina chat on the roof about running away together, but Valentina shows her anklet, indicating she's still underage. Despite this, she remains hopeful, as her 16th birthday is just 3 days away. Later, Valentina visits her father in his room, where he's busy reading cards. Parnassus halts his card reading upon seeing her and seizes the moment to share a piece of his past. Centuries ago, Parnassus was a celibate monk living among other monks in a sanctuary atop a snowy mountain. Their life's mission was to tell an eternal story to keep the world from fading into nothingness. Nick, the devil in human form, deemed their purpose ridiculous and visited the sanctuary to debunk their beliefs. He silenced all the monks except Parnassus to prove that the world's existence didn't hinge on their tales. Just then, a messenger bird from another realm arrived, dropping its excrement on Nick, which made Parnassus laugh at Nick's disheveled appearance. Parnassus boldly asserted that the world persisted because countless others across the universe or dimension continued to tell stories. Nick then proposed a wager. The first to gather 12 followers would be the victor. At this point, Parnassus engaged in his first wager with the devil. Nick argued that life's true essence lies in danger, fear, and the bliss of ignorance, while Parnassus championed the transformative power of imagination to win over disciples. Ultimately, Parnassus won and was granted immortality as his prize. However, this victory was a ploy by Nick, who foresaw that over time, people would change and stop listening to Parnassus's stories, rendering his immortality pointless. As time passed, Parnassus found himself increasingly ignored and isolated. Their conversation is cut short when the mobile theater unexpectedly halts on a bridge. Valentina is sent by Parnassus to investigate. Alone, Parnassus flips over another card, revealing a hanged man. Meanwhile, Valentina joins Anton and Percy on the roof. Anton mentions seeing a shadow in the water during a lightning flash. When the lightning strikes again, they realize it's a person hanging under the bridge. The trio works together to rescue the person, with Anton rappelling down to find a man with a red stamp on his forehead. As the rain pours, Anton brings the stranger to the surface. Despite Parnassus's warnings to leave the man alone, Valentina insists on saving him, and Anton resuscitates him. The stranger spits out a pipe but collapses from shock. The next day, the stranger awakens, confused and with no memory, claiming a concussion. Percy and the others question him, but the stranger can't recall his name. Later, Parnassus examines a slab with Russian inscriptions found on the stranger, suspecting he might be connected to Nick. Comparing the card to the stranger, Parnassus becomes hopeful for a new chance to save Valentina. That night, the troupe sets up outside a convenience store, and Valentina assigns the stranger to sell tickets. Despite wanting to cancel the show due to Parnassus's drunken state, the stranger convinces a crowd to gather, encouraging the troupe to perform. However, Parnassus collapses mid-show, prompting demands for refunds. The stranger spins a tale about Valentina needing money for medication, winning sympathy, and more ticket sales after Valentina offers a promotional deal. As the show concludes, Valentina celebrates their earnings, but Anton grows jealous of her interest in the stranger. He sarcastically remarks that the stranger might be her escape from the theater. Nick visits Parnassus, revealing that the stranger is named Tony and is not his pawn. He is a disgraced philanthropist who ran a children's charity. Nick proposes a new wager: whoever wins 5 souls before Valentina's 16th birthday will claim her forever, giving them only 2 days. The following day, Tony's persuasive skills allow the troupe to buy more food. Valentina gives Tony a chicken to pluck, and he discovers a newspaper with his photo, labeling him the missing disgraced head of children's charity. Parnassus, convinced Tony was sent for a reason, approaches him. Tony quickly discards the newspaper and dons a peculiar helmet, which Parnassus claims can read minds. Tony pretends to recall his name to avoid suspicion. He then retrieves his pipe from Anton, who grows wary of Tony's selective memory. At night, Anton overhears Parnassus and Percy's plan to use Tony to win the 5 souls. This scheme fuels Anton's competitive spirit, driving him to outperform Tony to gain Parnassus's approval. Meanwhile, Valentina is surprised to find her father sober for the first time. When Tony secures a customer, Anton intercepts her, forcing her into the Imaginarium. Anton's impulsive act leads to chaos as club bouncers intervene, siding with the customer's friend, who protests. The disorder prompts Percy to fire off fireworks from a cannon, allowing the troupe to escape the club. They eventually arrive in a secluded area where Valentina and Percy express their anger at Anton for his recklessness, which costs them their livelihood and home. Anton, feeling remorseful, isolates himself. Tony joins him, seeking to understand Parnassus in the mirror. Anton explains that Parnassus's mind powers the mirror, creating stunning imaginations. Though skeptical, Tony is persuaded that Parnassus only seeks to inspire the world. Meanwhile, Parnassus shares Valentina's birth story with her. He had regained his mortality to be with the woman he loved, but their love story had a painful catch. The story ends on a cliffhanger as Parnassus drifts to sleep. The next day, Tony suggests using their savings to renovate the stage and give the theater a fresh look. Valentina stops Anton from leaving, telling him she needs him. That night, the troupe undergoes a transformation, giving the mobile theater a new appearance. Tony becomes the new Barker, and they prepare to perform at a mall. Tony entices wealthy women, offering them the chance to undergo purification through Parnassus's imaginative power. His persuasive pitch draws a crowd, though they can only accommodate one at a time. A posh elder accuses Percy of being a child laborer, but Tony smoothly invites her on stage and into the Imaginarium. Tony follows her inside, witnessing her imagination create a pastel fashion world, and even receiving a new face based on her preferences. They dance, but Tony is distracted by visions of Valentina floating gracefully. The posh elder faces a choice between Nick's motel and Parnassus's gondola. Initially, she opts for the motel, but Tony convinces her to choose the gondola. She listens, marking Parnassus's first soul win. Tony returns to the stage with his true face, and the posh elder, grateful for her purification, donates her expensive belongings. 3 more women enter the mirror and re-emerge visibly happy. From a distance, Nick observes Parnassus winning 4 souls while he has none. Parnassus needs 1 more soul, but their streak of victories is interrupted by the arrival of 4 Russian thugs at the mall, hunting Tony for his unpaid debt to their syndicate. Having failed to pay, Tony was hung under the bridge 3 days ago by the syndicate. Discovering Tony missing, they have now tracked him down. Meanwhile, Tony pushes away the final person Parnassus needs to win, desperately trying to escape from the Russian thugs. They pursue him and see him climbing a ladder that stretches into the clouds. Tony falls from the ladder, allowing the thugs to capture him. At first, they think they have the wrong person because of his altered face, but when they wipe his forehead, the red mark they stamped on him reappears. Preparing to hang him, Tony swallows the pipe to keep breathing while suspended. Anton arrives to save Tony, but the thugs quickly overpower him. As they are about to hang Tony, the choice between Parnassus's path and Nick's route appears, and they ignore Tony's peril. Sadly, the 4 thugs choose Nick's path, putting him on par with Parnassus. Afterward, the troupe ends the show and retreats to a quiet place. With just an hour left in the bet, Parnassus takes the chance to reveal the truth to Valentina. He explains that his love story included a terrible condition. All his future children would belong to Nick when they turned 16. Valentina thinks he's joking, but becomes furious when he confirms it. Feeling betrayed, she storms off to vent her emotions. Frustrated, Parnassus also drives Percy away, leaving everything in chaos. Tony, eager to re-enter the mirror and continue his dream, helps Parnassus to relax and focus on opening the Imaginarium. When the portal opens, Tony drags Valentina with him, but Anton stops them, revealing Tony's true identity as a trafficker who sold organs from orphans. Despite Anton's accusations, Tony denies everything and steps into the mirror with Valentina. This time, Tony assumes a face from a family magazine that Valentina admires. Now 16, Valentina shares an intimate moment with Tony during their gondola ride, which is abruptly interrupted by an orphan appearing on the shore. The dream shifts to Tony's, depicting him as a prominent philanthropist, affiliated with influential leaders and giving speeches at his charity. While Tony enjoys his dream, Anton appears as a child, trying to convince Valentina that Tony is a fraud. Tony catches Anton and beats him in front of the crowd, causing his dream to crumble as the people turn into an angry mob. Valentina and Anton escape from the Imaginarium, but Anton falls and clings to the edge. Valentina tries to save him, but Anton grows back to his adult size, becoming too heavy for her to hold. He confesses his love for her before letting go and falling into oblivion. Tony then grabs Valentina by the hair, hurting her for ruining his dream. He abandons her to flee from the mob. Resentful of her father's gambling, Valentina spitefully chooses Nick's path to get back at Parnassus. As a result, Parnassus loses the bet and Valentina altogether. However, Nick, dissatisfied with the predictable outcome, proposes a new wager. If Parnassus kills Tony, he can reclaim his daughter's soul. Parnassus accepts and awaits Tony at the mountaintop, the path of self-fulfillment. When Tony eventually reaches the peak, he finds Parnassus hanging precariously. Tony saves him, intending to take his place when the mob arrives. Parnassus, aware of Tony's trick with the pipe, decides to play a game. He stops time and offers Tony 2 identical pipes, one of which is fake. As Tony deliberates, Parnassus hopes he picks the wrong one. When Tony finally makes his choice, Parnassus restarts time. Tony swallows the pipe and allows the mob to hang him. Just before Tony is hanged, Parnassus reveals he has the real pipe, meaning Tony chose the fake one. Tony dies, and Parnassus wins the bet. Nick releases Valentina's soul but keeps her location secret, leaving Parnassus heartbroken and alone as he searches for her in the Imaginarium. The movie concludes with Parnassus returning to London as a beggar. By chance, Valentina walks by and drops a coin in his cup before heading to a restaurant. Parnassus follows her and sees Valentina meeting Anton and a child, realizing she is living her dream life with Anton. Percy appears and advises Parnassus to leave them be, assuring him they are doing well without him. Parnassus, though pained, accepts the truth and joins Percy in a new chapter, performing a toy theater for children. As they work, Nick reappears, ready to propose another bet, but Percy sternly tells Parnassus to focus on his work.